the other part on this too is really the understanding or the baseline that you were coming from before, right? So you talk about sort of the analytics and the data. If I never had call recording, for example, and I bring on call recording, I have no baseline from which I can say, oh, we're this much better, aside from my lagging indicators, right? Of like closed won business and activity and quality and all that. So I think that's that could be an interesting component here too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just one of those areas too. I think as the tide rises, right? It's great if you send out a survey and your reps are really happy about the technology they use. It's another thing when the CFO comes knocking and says, "All right, you have 9 tools in your stack and your budget's going down by 25%. What do you do, right?" And if you want to make another purchase that you actually think will drive more productivity, because ironically, I mean, we're in a situation where that's what you need. You need to spend money to get that productivity with your team. Are you able to quickly measure the ROI of the solutions you're bringing in and justify those to the CFO, right? Because that's what's happening with the tide rising.
Yeah, and it's a situation to your point where it's like, hey, you have this stack of things, and there's a lot of cruft that can build up in there, and in the sort of the fat times, right? When things are going really well, it's easy to add on, oh, this is specifically for this portion of the funnel, and this is specifically for that, or whatever it is. And there's a lot of vendors out there that want to sell you tools for your tool stack. Like that hasn't changed. What's also interesting with this too is thinking through, and this comes back to really well first principled organizations making smart investments. They probably have some goals in mind when they buy software, and they probably have metrics associated with those. I'm going to improve rec productivity by this much, therefore I'll get an engagement tool. So it probably makes it easier for those organizations to have that conversation with the CFO, him or her, and say, hey,
Yeah.
this was why we bought the tool. This is how we're using the tool. This is what's next with the tool, and here's how we're going to go for it.
Yeah, and one of the best practices we've seen, with our customers is actually running A/B tests with some of this technology, right? If you are large enough, can you take one group of your reps and put them on the new platform, take another group of your reps and let them run without it, and see a marked difference, in the performance of those two groups?
Yeah, I think that's something. I mean, we do it with messaging. Why wouldn't we do it with our sales tooling as well?
Right.